You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include romance, flirting, detailed descriptions of food, alcohol, substance use, complex and complicated relationships, trauma, and interpersonal tension. Arc 1, Episode 5. A Tale Untold. From Self-Eulogy of a Martyr by Connie Chong. As the dock workers loitered on the ever-darkening harbor, casting sheepish glances at the royal retinue waiting by the verdant gardens of the Aminu Gate, Abbasi Zahar finally admitted the truth to herself that she'd been denying. She'd been stood up. The scion of Raya turned on her heel and strode away from the edge of her kingdom. They passed the limestone sundial that silently taunted them with the fact that half a day had elapsed with not a single ship from Siren Song ascending to the sky docks. They passed the still hopeful priests and the very unhopeful attendants. They passed their father, who gave them a knowing and worried look, and their other father, who simply sighed. Abbasi's mother said little, but she did reach forward to smooth down one of their stray hairs. Abbasi addressed her three parents. "I'm going to train. Don't disturb me." Her parents glanced at each other and then at the emissaries from Jongsin's surge, but neither king nor queen stopped her. And so, Abbasi moved through the royal gardens, passing the dry pink spindles of the tamarisk trees and the broad leafy fronds of the date palms. As she strode, she disrobed. She cast off her sheer blouse with its intricately pleated sleeves and the shawl made of the translucent mantis drake wings. She bunched her clothes into a ball, hopped a low stone fence, and slipped not into the training hall, but into her own private quarters, where Abbasi pulled on their armor. Half-plate, leather straps, feathered gauntlets. She grabbed vials, tools, a boot knife, rations for the week-long journey as a merchant ship's stowaway, and earrings of precious lapis lazuli that her terrible great-aunt gave her on her 18th birthday. Those would make for good barter. Later that night, when it became obvious that Princess Hylian Amerjin was not the only truant participant in the Tournament of Heirs, leaving Prin Him Soo-hyun as the only person present at the Scion's table during the first Great Feast, it would not cross Abbasi's mind that she hadn't left her parents a letter. It wasn't that Abbasi chose not to. Rather, she simply forgot. 3 weeks later, we find Princess Abbasi Zahar, scion of Raya, in a tavern in Siren Song. The Yellow Pinwolf is a dingy wild sailor bar with latticed windows that keep the mesmer smoke out, and the customers in. Pillars of mossy wood support a low, textured ceiling with vines and orchids and pungent garlands of spice. The kitchen is visible behind a greasy counter, sweat-stained chefs tossing meats and veggies in huge, oil-slick woks. Servers dart between tables and benches, balancing trays of food, beer, and salted Saint Bloom seeds. At this time of day, the golden hour between afternoon and night, the Pinwolf is packed to the gills. Wild sailors of every stripe populate this tavern, drinking and singing, gambling and arguing, flirting and arm wrestling, sometimes all of those things at once. And we see now a roguishly disheveled, dark-haired man with tanned skin and a scratchy beard nursing a glass of water by the bar. And we see a little fang peeking over his bottom lip, along with an unlit cigarette. And this person is wearing a dark trench coat over a green tie and a white buttoned-up shirt tucked into tight black trousers and combat boots. And his eyes are striking. One of them is green, and the other is gold. And a scar runs over his right eye as he surveys the interior of the pinwolf with a quiet but amused demeanor. And his gaze actually catches on Abasi, and we see an interested spark dancing in his eyes. He downs his water with a single gulp and takes a step forward, but then he trips over his own feet. He falls, but is thankfully caught by another patron. And this one is a diminutive lizard-like person, about 3.5 feet tall, though the back joint of her digitigrade legs is supported by long spiral-like heels that elevate her height. And this lizard person wears elaborate silken robes and an ornate headdress of gem-studded bone that flares outward like a grand crest and glimmers in the dim light of the tavern. In fact, every single part of this person glimmers. Their intricate flowing garments, their pale pink eyes, and especially the ever-shifting illusory colors and shapes dancing across their bleached white scales. This lizard person writes the first person, who kind of scratches the side of his stubbled jaw and grins an apology down at her, and he follows her to a rowdy corner of the Pinwolf, where she's holding court over a jubilant crew of wild sailors. And now we push into a different corner of the Yellow Pinwolf, where we find Abasi Zahar sitting with the four of you. Abasi is in the middle of wrapping up her tale of woe. So that's why I came here. I wanted to confront that coward, Amergen, so she would, at the very least, grant me the dignity of forfeiting the tournament to my face, instead of no call, no showing like some grubworm. But soon as I got here, it became obvious, and at this she lowers her voice so you could hear a pin drop, that the people of Siren's Song think their precious princess is in Raya. But she's not. I was literally just there. This queen is lying to her people. Now, I don't know why, I don't know how, but I intend to find out. And at that, Abasi folds her very well-muscled arms over her chest and leans back in their chair, seeming to come to the end of her story. And now we pan across this table over to each of you. And I want to know, how have you been taking in this story? Starting with Lumièra.
I knew it was going to be me. I think this entire time, Lumièra, like, the more Abasi is going into it, it's like Lumièra started out this explanation of like feigning concern for the most part, right? And the more it gets detailed and she goes into it, and by the time it's the end, Lumièra has her entire head cocked to the side, like, and is slow blinking directly at her. Seriously.
Yeah, seriously. She stood me a no-called no-show, okay? So that's a huge deal, by the way, because it's not just about me, obviously. It's about all of Raya, you know? She spit in the face of all of Raya. And on top of that, her mom's a goddamn liar. So where does that leave us? And now I think we pan over to Seir. How have you been taking in this story?
Seir has been engaging in a silent conversation with Sing with only glances. It is a language and method of communication that only siblings understand. where he raises an eyebrow and goes, at every moment Abasi says stood up, it is the no call, no show to the tournament airs, where he's kind of like glancing around going, but you're here too, so what happens to the tournament?
Do you say that out loud, or are you just thinking it?
He communicates that to Sing, and without waiting for her response, his blue eyes flick over to Abasi, and he says, "Wait, if you're here, what happens to the tournament of heirs?"
What do you mean? And I think on that we pan over to Xainan.
Xainan, whose whole face, for the most part, as he's been listening, he's been like gently, like unconsciously stroking his little stubble and just kind of like listening very intently. But at this, and occasionally in the my nemesis and all of that, his face just ends up in his full hand. If there was only one other Scion at this tournament, and you're here, did you forfeit, or is there
what
just
am I,
not
a coward? No, obviously no.
Lumièra's
Then
eyebrow
what's-
was up here.
Like above her head.
Above
Like
her head.
levitated off of her brow.
Literally.
Yeah.
Seir crosses his arms and looks over at Sing and is just like,
Yeah, Sing, at this point, Sing props her elbows onto this, like, rickety kind of dingy table, which, by the way, looks suspiciously familiar to the table in the temple. And I think all of you are starting to get a sense of, like, where Abasi produced that table from, right? Sing props her elbows up onto it and just kind of, like, cocks her head to the side in a mirror of Lumièra, her pink eyes glimmering with amusement and interest, and she goes, Abasi, I think what my friends and I are trying to say is, since both you and the other princess aren't in Raya, what happens to the tournament of heirs? And silence
Someone
falls.
says it.
Abasi is just staring at your group, blinking blankly, and she just goes, you know what, I didn't really think about that. You know, I guess things are just postponed, okay? Until I grab Amerjin by the scruff of her cowardly neck and demand a forfeiture to my face, or whatever the hell's happened to her.
You seem a
or
lot
whatever
more
comes out of her
upset.
face.
Excuse me?
You seem a lot more upset about the fact that you feel humiliated as a fact that somebody is lying to an entire realm. Why would that be?
I contain multitudes, okay? I'm upset at both of these facts. I came here because I was upset about the first thing, and now I'm doubly upset because her mom's lying about where she is, which means something's kind of fishy, you know?
You just
Like, if I
spent
was-
20 minutes going on about your betrayal, your nemesis. I mean, I'm not
Have
wrong.
you ever been betrayed by
right?
a nemesis before? Because if not, don't even try to come for me, okay? Because it's a heartbreaking situation, all right?
You
I thought
know
I'd at least
nothing.
kick her ass in front of everyone.
Darling, you know nothing about what I've been through.
at
You know,
that
out on
point,
the out on the Verdant Sea, things can get a little hairy. And Xainan shoots Lumièra just a very be very careful look.
yeah, Seir, I think, catches Xainan's lead and kind of like leans forward as well, almost protectively over Lumièra, and just says, on that note, why is the princess your nemesis?
Well, she's just so, like, full of herself, you know? Like, she, like, carries herself like, oh, like, I don't care about anything. Like, I'm so great. I'm Amerjin. I'm the scion of soul and heart, and I know the Verdant Sea in ways you don't, and I'm just so awesome and great, and so pretty, and I'm so full of just whatever, you know? So that's just irritating. You know what I mean? Just really irritating.
So not a kingdom-wide feud then. This is just the two.
Hater. This is just being a hater. Is that what
Being
you're
a-
saying?
Princess.
No, you know,
If
I I don't appreciate your attitude.
I don't have
Lumièra,
one.
was it?
I didn't give you it.
Princess Abasi, if you don't mind, I just have a wonder. If you find her, maybe solving this whole problem will show her.
That's... Well, that's... Okay, I'm still... All I care about right now is finding her, okay? And I don't understand. And at this, she fixes a heated look at Lumièra, but she doesn't address Lumièra directly. Why some of you seem intent on coming for my motivations when what I'm trying to do is what I think is the right thing. Something weird is happening here. You can either help me figure it out or buzz off.
Like I said down at the docks, I think our purposes are similar.
Yeah, down at the docks. Speaking of which, remind me again, you said that thing that's traveling with your party, that, orbable, omnical thing, was some piece of salvage that tells you what to do, and that's how you found me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't necessarily
Dredge it up.
explain how. Sorry, it's not more conducive or
Find stuff out there.
explanative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't steered us wrong so far.
Yeah, Sing leans forward and nods very reassuringly and very confidently. Well, Princess Azhar, you know how things are out on the wild sea. So many unexplained mysteries, so many depths remain to be plumbed, and this was one odd bit of salvage we found amongst ourselves. Haven't there been pieces of ancient mystery scattered all across the Verdant Sea? This must just be one of them, but it hasn't led us astray so far, and everything it's told us to do, if we've accomplished it, has ended up helping people. And it's telling us to help you now, so if you'll have us, we'd love to assist.
Without any pushback from me.
Yeah, alright. Okay, well, And Abasi gives Sing an appraising look, and then looks over at you, Lumièra, and gives you another appraising look, and that heated expression in her eye seems to tamper down, and it actually at Lumièra it seems to simmer into something more akin to interest. You get the sense that
I wink at her.
Yeah. She kind of blinks and then looks you up and down again, but in a totally different way. She is very Aries coded, okay? How you flirt with an Aries is to argue with one. So she lets in a deep breath, exhales, and kind of nods at your party and says, well, I've been going at this whole mystery alone up until this point. And don't get me wrong, I've come across some good clues that I assume the three of you have been looking through, up in my little temple hideaway. But I'm gonna have to come up with another plan to really figure out everything that's going on. And besides, it's just, you know what? The four of you are right. I hadn't even thought about the implications of me not being at the tournament, and Lumièra, you'd mentioned if this was just a personal thing, and between me and Amergen, frankly speaking, yeah, it is personal. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, but it is also kind of political. I mean, I'm sure all of you are aware that tensions have been rising between the reaches as of late because of the calamities. And, my mom and my dad and my other dad have told me to be on my best behavior, and they wanted to organize this tournament to smooth things over, so the fact that Amergen didn't show up isn't just a personal insult, I wouldn't be surprised if it further inflamed tensions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How have the calamities affected you and your people, Raya?
Well, Raya's up in the sky, obviously, so we've mostly been okay. We've been shielded from the root quakes, and stuff like that, and most of the aggressive beasts down in the Tangle and the Thrash, but gale winds have been getting stronger. It's been throwing our sundials all out of whack, and I don't know, it's just, something doesn't feel right.
So not even Raya is spared. Interesting.
No. No, not even Raya. I mean, there have even been talks of skywings dead in herds with these oil-slick feathers, clouds of noxious gas spotted from miles off, the likes of which no one's ever smelled before, let alone seen.
What's
And
it
some
smell
people even
like?
say, just kind of like, I don't know, I've never smelled it, but everyone I've talked to, you know, messengers and whatnot, emissaries who come back to Raya after a couple weeks abroad, it's just, they describe it like it's, really thick, I guess. Thick and just pungent, and it makes your head hurt. And it's really just, it's shiny, I guess, for a lack of a better term.
Is there any other type of byproduct outside of just headaches? Like any rashes, spikes in temperature, any type of wounds or you know, weird skin markings or burning sensations? Anything?
Well, I don't know about all of that. Most of this has just been hearsay, you know? My parents honestly kind of, they think I don't pick up on it because they think I'm just focused on, like, you know, training and stuff, but I do pick up on it. They've been shielding me, I think, from some of the specifics. But I have heard of people talking about the sound of and she lowers her voice to like a whisper, like even saying this is sacrilegious or would invite, like, misfortune. The sound of crackling flame.
Seir's face darkens as he puts the pieces together, the smell, and he is reminded of the omen he had summoned. The smell of oil. And I think Seir says that a little too loudly as he leans forward, eyes glazed over like one staring into a flame, and says, "So oil. They're smelling oil." And he does say that a little too loud. And above
Lumièra,
the
like,
hush. The whisper.
slaps your thigh like,
Yeah, Abasi kind of, you know, startles at that, blinks. Sing doesn't slap your other thigh, but she does put a hand on your knee and, like, squeezes it a little, Seir. But above the table, she's, like, perfectly friendly and still smiling at Abasi. I think what my brother means here is just, we've heard these rumors too. Obviously, out on the green waves, and some of the people we've met have said the O word, that it's oil, because obviously talking about fire is taboo. And Sing is, like, kind of nodding like she's trying to figure it out. Yeah, like she's trying to suss out the vibe. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
We've been trying to find a direction for it. It's another one of those errant things that our seed pod friend here kind of pointed us to, and we're trying to locate it, but wind and all that, tricky.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this sea pod thing must be, I'd like to see it again at some point, because it was kind of cute in a weird way. But anyway, yes.
it is.
I guess you all would be right. Yeah, the smell of oil. Which is, I mean, oil isn't exactly outlawed on the seas. You know, some ships use it as their engine and whatnot, but it is heavily regulated in all three reaches. Its application and how much you can carry at a single time, because obviously it's so flammable. So I don't know, it's just where there's oil, sometimes there's fire, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you for this information.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know too much about the political intricacies of the exact dynamics between the Raya, Siren Song, and Zhongxin Surge. You know, even though I am the Scion, my parents really shield me from a lot of the minutiae, but as far as I know, this tournament, like I said, was supposed to really bring the Reaches together during a time when, well, things haven't been this tense since 3 centuries ago, I guess. That's what everyone's been saying. Everyone's talking about, and some people have even been wishing for it, mostly, you know, pirates, that sort of type. War. Yeah.
Desperate
know,
people.
That's true.
Exactly. These calamities are they're disrupting trade routes. They're, causing all these disasters to happen, and that's been really bad for the Three Reaches. Even I know that.
Parents tend to try to protect their children, but in their protection, they also forget sometimes that children are a lot more perceptive than even they'd like to think. And Lumièra looks over towards Xainan before turning her attention back to Abasi.
Xainan, how are you responding to that?
Xainan, on the surface, I think, has no reaction. I think is, for what you can tell, Lumièra just focused on Princess Abasi, but his eyes narrowed just a little.
We all need
anyway. Anyway, your approach so far with finding the princess.
Yes, my approach. So, obviously, as soon as I landed here, like 2 weeks ago at this point, it was very obviously immediately that the people of this place thought Amerjin was in the Raya. So I knew something was fishy. I started snooping around. I got my hands on a map in a super legal and above board way. And then I was able to use the map to figure out, the best places in the royal palace where there would probably be clues about where Amerjin's whereabouts actually were. Her private study, maybe she's got like maps or books or notes or like a diary or something. So I got into the palace. I grabbed some things, but the process of going into the palace, I guess I was a little more obvious than I should have been, so I wasn't able to stay for a super long time or grab anything more than just honestly useless children's books. Side note, Amerjin has a lot of just silly kids' books in her room. You know what I mean? Like, what's up with that? Just like tales.
You can learn a lot from them.
I guess, but it's sort of like
people
bedtime
teach their
stories.
children using the stories that the children want to hear.
It's often a way through oral history telling, if you're able to break it down in a way that a child is easily consumed, you can pass stories of history throughout the generations. Children's tales are the most effective.
That's and Abasi actually breaks out like a journal and starts writing in it. Can you repeat that bit about like breaking it down in a way that a child would understand? I feel like this is really great setup for an insult for Amerjin. I could tell her when we see her again.
No,
like, oh, you're gonna have
princess.
to
Princess. It's
on task, darling.
Right, yes. And she tucks her little notebook away. Anyway, everything you saw in the temple is everything I've found. It's not much. I haven't even gotten a chance to come face to face with the queen yet, but honestly, like, if I do, like, it's a no-brainer that she's just gonna send me back to Raya without giving me answers unless I really wring them out of her, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be super aggressive with her because I don't want to make things worse than they already are.
Wait,
now
so
you got help.
I think you just need someone who's a little easier on the people part to plead your case. What do you think, Sing?
Yes, Sing chimes in at this with a big pearly white smile. Yes, Lumièra, Princess Sahar, I think that perhaps this is where we come in and we can help you. It seems that you're very self-sufficient, a wonderful leader. You've clearly gotten a lot of headway done into this mystery already, and with a little bit of assistance from us, maybe we can help you get all the way to the end of this mystery. Lumièra and myself, we're quite used to dealing with royalty, for lack of a better term, with high stakes social situations. So if we were there, perhaps posing as part of your entourage, maybe that would get us into the palace and we can help you confront the queen without having it feel like a confrontation necessarily. What do you think?
Despite my demeanor, I am very well adept at politicking.
she is.
You know what? I can actually see that, yeah. Okay, yeah, I like that idea. Like I said, I don't trust Queen Hylian farther than I can chuck a 20-pound tortiver, which is 200 feet, by the way. It's a world record. But I do know that talking to her is probably necessary for trying to get some answers, or at the very least, and at this her eyes slide over to Xainan and Seir, distracting her long enough for other people to really snoop around.
Seir looks over at Xainan.
I
Shrugs.
think we might be able to accommodate that.
Yeah.
But if you are so certain of the Queen's secret keeping, what has eluded you to that? That will help Xainan and I find her secrets.
Well, I honestly tore open the princess's study from top to bottom. All I could find were those books. Everything else was just, just random princess stuff. So, I would say that the best clues would be in the Queen's sanctuary. That would be her private study, a place of worship. That would be, if I were her, where she'd keep all her secrets.
Not to get too into the weeds on this, but would you collaborating with us on this cause some sort of incident? I don't want to start a war.
Yeah, I don't want to start a war either, but I'm sure that, okay, this is a huge compliment coming from me, but the four of you were really impressive back there during the chase, okay? Not a lot of people could catch up to me, believe me. So, with the five of us working together, I am sure we're gonna be able to get to the bottom of this mystery without starting a war. Positive,
All right.
100%.
I will take
Take
your
your
vote of
word.
confidence.
And Abasi
Seir
gives
says
a
nothing.
nod. Yeah, Sing kind of cocks her head to the side, but is nodding, right, kind of in approval. She kind of leans over to your party in a way that Abasi can't hear and says, unironically, I really like her enthusiasm.
That's one way of putting it.
Mm.
Saying.
Well, she did, survive a fall from, a few dozen feet. She cratered the ground. I cratered the ground, too. But I got away scot-free because, chosen one and all that. But she got away scot-free, too. The only thing that's kind of broken is her gauntlet. And that's just a mechanical contraption.
Lumièra
Princess,
is
I think
so
you got your
tight-lipped.
distraction.
Yeah, the longer you can keep the Queen off of us, that'll be the best. If a scion of a kingdom is missing, why would a queen, a mother, say nothing?
Unless she had something to do with it.
Shame.
That also could be a factor or the reason as well.
All the more reason to keep armed then, just in case, right, Xainan?
Let's not jump to any conclusions here, right? We can't exactly undo drawing a weapon. Maybe the Queen... Let's give her a chance to explain herself, is what I'm saying. Yeah?
Well, that's
Everyone
where you
should
come
get
in,
the
right?
opportunity.
Yeah, if you can play diplomat for a little while, visiting from, your far off realm, and Seir and I can see what's in that sacred sanctuary. And when he says sacred, you can see there's a touch of discomfort if you know him, but maybe the princess doesn't quite pick up on it.
Oh, no, it just goes completely over her head. But she nods. She goes, yeah, you know what? I'm liking this plan. And I knew I brought my crown from back home for a reason, not just my lucky charm. I can put it on. I'll change out of this very obvious, come on, I've got plate armor on, you know what I mean? I'll change out of this. I'll look a little bit more presentable, a little bit more dignitary-like, and I'll put on my dignitary face, right? Because y'all are seeing my real face, my Abasi punch face, but my dignitary face is also something to be considered. Really now?
Fair enough.
All right. Well, I'm liking this plan. How about, before we go off, I think, a round of drinks is in order. Excuse me. And a server kind of comes over with a menu I think, and like slides it in front of each of your place areas on the table. And you see, because I just love to flesh out the world in such a way, you see 3 sections on the menu: food, snacks, and drinks. And under food, these are the following menu items: fried pepmato and egg, octodew pancake, skyward root and hoska. Under snacks, there are a couple more. There's salted Saint Bloom seeds, fried fungal squid, shredded viper vine, squirrel bow, siren song roasted hydries. And under drinks, we see a little subtitle that says all can be served hard or soft, and the drink options are Krezer Ale, Spectra Gin, Worm Apple Cider, Tyrrhic Mulch Beer, Water, and Clean Water. So I just want to know for fun, what are you ordering off the menu, if anything?
Xainan immediately points to the fried tomato egg. One of these eggs and some clean water, please.
Yes, sir. What about you, ma'am? And the server turns to Lumièra.
Tell me, how are the shredded viper vine?
Ripe off the vine.
Yeah. Let me do one of those. And some squirrel bow.
How would you like your squirrel?
Medium well, please. And
Very well.
Tyrrhic mulch beer.
Yes, Tyrrhic Mulch beer. Now, would you like that with or without residue?
Surprise me.
Okay. And you, sir.
Seir looks at the menu, looks over to like what everyone else is ordering, and he's just kind of like playing with his dark curls as he's like pondering the menu, eyes lingering over the distinction of water and clean water, and decides to instead order, I would like the octodew pancake, please.
Okay. Would you like the tentacles high or low?
Hi.
Oh. Okay. And the server looks nervous.
The moment that question comes up, Xainan looks to Seir and just his eyebrows raise.
We all are like...
Unlike everybody else, his eyebrows have been pretty flat all the way through Abasi's story and all that. This is what gets him.
This is what got him. That's hilarious.
Yes. And he's like looking at everyone. He feels everyone's gaze upon him. And to shelter himself from everyone else's gaze, pans over to another table's drinks. And Connie, I would like to ask, what color is the Krezer Ale?
It is thick and amber, and it seems to bubble in the glass.
I think that color catches Seir's eyes, that glint of amber, that deep orange, and then he just mumbles out, "And a Krezer Ale, please." Thanks.
Yes, sir. And the refinery percentage on that?
What do you recommend?
At least 70.
Yeah, give me an 80, please.
80, yes, sir. And the two of you. And Sing, kind of cuts in and says, I will have the worm apple cider soft, please. Yes, of course, ma'am. How would you like your worm? Few. Hold the worm. Yes, hold the worm. If you say so. And you, ma'am. And turning to Abasi, and Abasi says, yeah, give me 2 counts of the Spectrogen, low venom, high toxin. I'll have the roasted hydries, but the drees on the side and the high underneath. And I will also have salted Saint Bloom seeds, hold the salt. Are you sure you would like to hold the salt? Yeah, it's okay. I'm immune to parasites. Oh, okay, very, very good. And they collect the menus and they go off. And as they exit, Abasi looks back at your party and regards each of you appraisingly, especially you, Seir, and says, you're a lot braver than I pegged you for.
Why do you say that? And when Seir says that, he's trying to put off the vibe that he's like curious and maybe attempting to be really social, but his eyes and eyebrows give off like, no, tell me why are you saying that?
Yeah, but Abasi just laughs and slaps you on the back and says, "Ha ha! Ah, good luck. Oh yeah, you're gonna need it." All right. So,
Alright.
who's ready to piss off a queen?
We're not. I have to insist that the goal is not to enrage the Queen of Siren Song.
At least let us get into the room first.
I'm ready to piss off a queen.
Saying.
That's the spirit. And on that, we're gonna cut to break. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in so far to that truly disastrous tavern menu ordering moment. We will be back in about 10 minutes. Hang tight for a word from our sponsors, as well as a quick little bio break that all of you should take. And we'll be back very soon. See you soon. Piso piso.